lighting people. Today we're going to talk about marketing and what companies are doing to change their marketing approach during this pandemic. Specifiers are interacting with each other and their architects differently. Agents are interacting with their customers differently. Same thing for distributors. But today we're going to do it from a manufacturer's perspective. And in preparation for today's video, I asked 8 to 10 of my most trusted lighting colleagues which lighting brands do the best job at marketing. And I got a lot of great answers. And there were a few brands that were mentioned multiple times, which led me to invite today's guest, Rob Empfield from Prudential Lighting, to join us to talk about marketing during the pandemic. Rob, thank you for joining us today for 5 big questions.
My pleasure.
Rob, as the leader of Prudential Lighting's marketing team, how would you describe your top priorities before the pandemic and how have that changed now?
Yeah, it's changed a lot, obviously, for all of us. So trade shows, we did Light Fair every year it's ever existed. So 20 some years, and not this year, and education and all the little shows and all the relationship building when we are out there with our agents at these shows and doing lunch and learns with them. Obviously, supporting our sales force is completely different because they're not able to go out there and meet face to face. And so our team is really challenged with not being able to get in front of their customers and engage with them. So really different. Different because we built an amazing 10,000 square foot showroom. And it's really an experience center with moving walls for asymmetric. So you can see just subtle differences. The lighting designers, even the architects, get so excited when they can see a wall grazer on the wall versus 3 or 6 inches off the wall, and stuff you can't see in foot candle studies. Well, we can't bring people for that right now. So lots of digital, right? I was not a webinar expert 6 months ago. I'm not yet, but that's the direction we're going. And obviously digital is everything. Your web content and your digital assets, video is where it's at and where it's going to be for a while longer.
Well, that makes sense. And speaking of those webinars, there's no shortage of webinars, whether they're CEU driven or non-CEU driven, that are being offered to lighting people of all walks of life. So tell us more about how involved has Prudential been in presenting webinars, and how do you measure their effectiveness, and what's your opinion of their effectiveness?
That's a great question. So yes, of course we're doing them. We're doing them all the time. I did a CEU last week. We did some short 15 and 30-minute webinars last week. We're trying to have them 15-minute, 30-minute, and full hour CEUs and make those all available. Seems more people prefer the short ones because the demand for them is huge, especially by the bigger companies are demanding agents do them all the time. So we're trying to offer various lengths, and even the short, like 1 and 2 minute videos instead of webinars, we're making those available as well. So I think just in the last 5 months, we've over a dozen videos, more like 20, I think we've developed at anywhere from 1 to 2 minute to 15 to 30 to an hour long, as well as doing them live. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. And just to follow up on that one, how would you judge their effectiveness?
Well, it's a good question. So we've done some Survey Monkeys, little questionnaire research on how we're doing, but the ROI on them, I'm not sure. It's really all we have, so it's the area we're diving into. But it's certainly not the same as engaging people face to face as far as relationship building, right? You're not seeing their faces. We're not getting the same level of Q&A we would normally get when we're out in person doing lunch and learns, or of course, flying people in to stay with us for a few days. So it's different. You got to be brief, succinct, and it's what we have as the main way of contact with specifiers right now.
That makes sense. Makes sense. So let's go big picture for a moment. And as a marketeer, you're pushing your own brand forward, but you also pay attention to the market. And in your opinion, specific to the lighting industry, what separates excellent marketing from pretty good marketing?
Well, that's a gray area there, certainly. It's that every asset you develop or every communication you're doing is thinking about what's in it for me, the specifier, or whoever your audience is, instead of, wow, we just spent so much to develop this new product, let's go scream and yell about it. We really need to be able to tell the story of what's in it for the specifier. So again, everyone's time is constrained. You have specifiers working from home with kids or pets or whatever. They need that information clearly, succinctly, and so being able to tell that story in a compelling way without all the fun things we had before. We used to have physical samples that they could touch and hold and experience what the lighting was like. Now we've got foot candle studies. So at least when you get on your webinars, you probably want to have a sample with you if you can. If you do it live, you're limited. You can't, kind of move around as much, but those are the things we're working through. That's why we mix live webinars with pre-recorded video that we can then move around in our showroom to show that wall grazing wall that moves, what it does at, on the wall versus 3 or 6 inches away. But again, digital assets, this little webcam doesn't pick up the subtleties of a great asymmetric light. It just isn't the same as seeing it in person. So we're still working through how to do that well.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think, all of us are challenged with some of those ways to convey our messages, or we're handcuffed a little bit in some of those methodologies. And when you look at the sales agent channel, you as a specification brand rely heavily on your manufacturers reps, your sales agents, to help bring the Prudential Lighting message to the various markets. What have you observed from your agents as far as best practices? What are they doing to help best promote your brand in their local marketplaces?
Yeah, it's a great question. So Prudential Lighting is 65 years today, this summer. Happy birthday to us, 65 years. Not a fun birthday, 65 years. And really have prided ourselves on having deep, long-standing relationships with our agents. Especially Southern California, we are both manufacturer and an agent, which not everyone understands, but PLP, they're our sister company. We're very aligned with them and understanding the challenges. Agents are hammered right now, especially by the bigger lighting manufacturers, to do webinars every day, and this pressure that's put on them. And for us as a manufacturer, we've historically tried to really embrace and understand the challenges of agents. And today, for them not being able to get out in the field and engage with their specifiers, with their contractors, with all their customers, and then to feel this pressure, this corporate pressure, because they might have 80 or 100 lines. We're trying to understand that. So we are not big brother over your shoulder. We want to come alongside of them and feel their pain, and we want to be easier to do business with. So we're all about trying to make it a little bit faster, the process that they work with us, the specification process, the ordering process, the way we handle and deal with field service issues. We're just trying to make that a smooth, streamlined process. When our agent partners have questions, we want to get back to them the same day. And just always be there for them, have their back, and laugh with them, cry with them if they need to, because they're feeling it right now.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And yeah, certainly, the success of a manufacturer is tied greatly to the success of the local representative bringing your brand forward. And these challenges create difficulties for all of us in that chain of command. So when we on Inside Lighting, we have mentioned multiple times in various articles how the importance of being really good at digital media and having great specification resources is heightened even more so now in pandemic times. What types of tools does Prudential Lighting have to help your specifiers, your agents, be more self-sufficient these days given the conditions?
Well, I'm thankful that years ago invested in a new website. And so it's responsive because a lot of people are on tablets and phones, because you got to have a responsive website. That's a given. But we did something that I don't know that anyone else has followed up with us, and that is we made our website interactive with our spec sheets. So if you were, our touch screen sometimes So we have a spec sheet that you could download and not even be on your, not be on Chrome, just have this PDF spec sheet and you open it up and it's interactive. So if you want to download the photometrics, you just click there and it's going to download the IS file and a corresponding PDF. If you need the BIM or CAD, you just click the cross section. If you want to go back to the product, you just click the name of the product or to our homepage. But even little things like our Osram Lutron Eldo drivers are all hot linked here. Our emergency, IOTA emergencies, hot linked, the spec sheets there. And we have even more, our warranty and all those important details that an agent needs. And sometimes that agent, they're 1 o'clock in the morning and they're working on a project. And so even though we're responsive, we're not at 1 o'clock in the morning. We have all those assets at their fingertips, both the agents and the specifiers. So they don't have to go searching for photometrics. They don't have to look down a long list and their eyes blurry. Trying to get all those assets exactly what they need as quickly as possible. That's just one example.
Well, that's great, and that's really, really comprehensive. Yes, specification resources, ease of specification help is really important, and you certainly built a lot of features into a spec sheet. It's not a static PDF that someone put together in InDesign. So nice job on that. And Rob, those are our 5 big questions for you. So thank you for joining us today on Inside Lighting.
My pleasure. Thank you.